Hey everybody, and welcome to Rock Video Rental. We are continuing on with our Halloween marathon, and today we'll be talking about A Bucket of Blood from 1959. It is directed by Roger Corman. It's the first Roger Corman movie, I believe. The plot for this one is a dim-witted busboy finds acclaim as an artist for a plastered-covered dead cat that is mistaken as his skillful statuette. The desire for more praise soon leads to an increasingly deadly series of works. The cast, we got Dick Miller as Walter, Barbara Morris as Carla, Anthony Carbone as Leonard, Julian Burton as Maxwell, and Ed Nelson as Art.
hmm
This is a first time watch for me.
Yeah, this was a second time watch for me. Man, I can't remember why or when I watched this the first time. I think I watched it in a college class.
Rock.
Could be wrong, but you want to know something weird about this movie?
Hmm.
It is categorized as a horror comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know where the comedy comes in, but okay.
Yeah. Um, I don't know either. I mean, it's kind of, I guess, implied or something, where it's very subtle at least, where the whole idea is a little comedic, like dark comedy, but
Yeah,
um
but okay, because this, if we go back to oh crap, Swimming with Sharks. That was more of a comedy than this one.
yeah.
Because like again, more of a dark comedy, but there were elements that could be comedic.
Hmm.
This, I don't really know that there was anything that I felt I could laugh at. I mean, there were a couple things where just like aging with time and like the effects that they did or things like that, where I was just like, but
Yeah, it's not like Corman's movie he did after this, Little Shop of Horrors,
mm-hmm.
which had a fair amount of comedic stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of Roger Corman, like that dude made so many movies. Like he would be filming like two, three movies at the same time.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy prolific and making movies on a shoestring budget. And I believe this is like one of his first popular, like big movies to really break out. But it was nice to see Dick Miller in a leading role
Hmm.
because he's always a that guy in movies,
Yeah, I remember
or
that.
has like supporting, like small supporting roles, like he did in Gremlins. And then he pops up in movies like he's in The Terminator,
Mm-hmm.
and another one that we watched, All the Right Moves. He plays like a teacher. He's coming in. He comes into that auditorium when Tom Cruise and his girlfriend are in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just little throwaway roles like that. Like the dude was in hundreds of movies, like hundreds. And he recently just passed away not too long ago.
Yeah, 2019, I saw that.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie was a little ahead of its time. I felt like uh the one thing I thought was kind of weird is that it's a movie called A Bucket of Blood, and there's
Mm-hmm.
really no blood in it.
Well, there was that one scene where he hid the guy's body in the ceiling and blood
It
was
dripped.
dripping.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
about it.
that was it. And they didn't even really barely show it. So,
Yeah. I will say when he chokes that uh woman with the
scarf.
scarf, that was pretty violent for 1959.
Mm-hmm.
That was a little unnerving, and like his I thought he did a really good job acting in this movie, playing kind of like the dim-witted guy, but being kind of menacing when it comes to like the kills.
Yeah. I
Especially in that scene, like the look on his face was just creepy.
mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he did a really good job. I thought a really good job at capturing that character. Um, but you talking about how kind of the it was advanced for 1959. There was
Mm,
a stark difference in 3 years from the last movie we watched, which was 1956, and the filmography in this one in 1959.
yeah.
Like a ton of different camera angles, close-ups, things giving you different perspectives, and also like helping give different atmosphere, different feelings, happy, sad, horror, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm again like I'm not going to profess to be well versed in movies from the 50s, late 50s or early 60s, but just the difference from The Bad Seed to this one, drastically different in how it was approached film wise.
Oh yeah. Um, I keep going back to that scene when he chokes that woman with a scarf, like the angle that they had him shot at when they focused on his face
Hmm.
was kind of like down and off to the side, and it just, I think it just added to the creepiness and the lighting of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, it was masterful. I can't say the word masterfully done. There you go. But yeah, I mean,
It's
Roger
late.
Corman
It's
is a,
late, man. It's after midnight.
yeah, Roger Corman is a legend, like, for a reason,
Yeah.
to be able to take so many, such little bit of budget and to do the stuff that he did with it. I mean, he was an inspiration to so many directors. Uh, John Carpenter is one of them,
Mm.
and John Carpenter is one of my favorite directors. Uh,
Oh, well, we kind of got ahead of ourselves a little bit, but we didn't even talk about the intro to this movie,
mm,
which was
how
super
it's
weird.
the first 10 minutes is in German.
Yeah, like
I had
did
to
we
check like
watch?
3 times to make sure, like, we didn't have some weird version on that we watched online.
Yeah, there was another version that because when I started watching in German, I was like, okay, is this the wrong thing? So I looked it up and I found it on a streaming platform and it started right at the English portion.
Oh, really?
So I don't know what that German part at the beginning was for sure, if it was like
Could have been another movie.
well, no, like it referenced Walter.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if it was like added on later or maybe something that they cut from the original movie and was an extra scene or something, but it was kind of interesting because wasn't it a reference to the character from our other movie, The House of Wax? I don't know
Yeah.
if it was the exact name or not, but they were referencing how a guy owned a wax museum and he was thought to have died, but then he was actually like hiding and he was obsessed with his work and he wanted to leave his legacy to somebody. And then he talked about his relative Walter
Yeah.
that was going to have to take over his work. And then Walter is the main character of this movie. I honestly, I hope it was something that was maybe like deleted and just kind of like added later as, something that was not there originally because I think it was rather pointless.
Yeah.
Because I think the movie by itself is quite good.
Yeah, I would agree. It's kind of deterring at the beginning, like, because when I first got into it, I wasn't even sure I had the right movie.
Hmm.
I wasn't sure if I had the right version of it.
Yeah, I texted
And
you. I
then
was like, what?
I literally just stopped paying attention until that part was done. I'm
Yeah,
like, I
it.
don't really want to read subtitles right now. Like, why is this in German?
Hmm. Yeah, it was. It was weird. So that doesn't need to be discussed anymore. But basically, I will take the movie as a whole after that introduction, if it was even really meant to be there. So
Right. So yeah, the whole plot of him just like killing people and then covering them with clay.
yeah,
I guess that's a little comedic because like no one notices. Like, even through the clay, wouldn't you be able to smell it?
yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I was also it was moving so fast. Like that was another thing too that I definitely did not notice the first time I had seen this movie was just like essentially they were saying it felt like this movie took place within a period of like a week.
Yeah.
And so he's like spitting out new sculptures in a matter of like a day or two while he's working a job.
Yeah.
And it's just like nobody is questioning it. But there is the element that I didn't remember from the first time watching, that there was the owner of the coffee club or whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
art store or whatever, that he, from the beginning, he caught on to what Walter was doing, and he just covered it up and was trying to make money off of it. And so that was kind of crazy because I did not remember that from the first time, because he discovered that the cat was really inside the statue
Yeah.
and he was going to expose him, but then somebody came in and said that they wanted to buy it, and originally it like jumped from like paying $100 to $500.
Yeah.
So the guy, shoot, I should be using his name, Leonard, I think it
Hmm.
was.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, Leonard just was just like, okay, hey, if I can make money off of this, I'm willing to overlook it. But then Walter starts putting out more sculptures of people, and
Hmm.
he knows that they're dead. Like, dude, I mean, that's messed up.
Yeah, and it's like people he knows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like he kills that undercover cop who was trying
Yeah.
to say that like Walter was high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and dude, this movie's from 1959. They're talking about heroin.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. I'm like, what? Yeah, so he's like said something about taking horse, and I'm like, are they talking about heroin? And then he says that he said it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they are from 1959.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, Leonard was not the art guy.
uh, I don't remember. I'm not very good with remembering character
Or
names,
yeah.
especially in horror movies. So this movie a lot of times is considered one of the first slasher movies,
Oh, really?
which
Interesting.
makes sense because he kills off people one by one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to me it's reminiscent of a movie from the late 70s called Tourist Trap,
Okay.
which is pretty interesting. I might have you watch that one sometime. And it's kind of a mixture of that and House of Wax.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like really unsettling. Um, it stars Chuck Connors on, you know who that is. He was like a big TV actor at the time.
Hmm.
He was in an old Western show called The Rifleman. But that dude had like a crazy life. So he was an actor, he was a professional baseball player, and a professional basketball player.
Huh.
Yeah. Like all right within like 10 years. Uh, I can't remember if he played football too. It wouldn't surprise me because he was a big dude. But
So I have to correct myself. Leonard was the guy's name, Walter's boss's name.
okay.
But I did find something interesting. I stumbled across something interesting here. You might know this reference, you might not, but there was a character named Art. He was the guy with the weird cowboy outfit, the other cop. And he was played by Ed Nelson, who was in a Jackie Chan movie. He was the main villain in a Jackie Chan movie, Who Am I? So,
That's kind of funny.
yeah, probably wouldn't have picked up on that otherwise.
Yeah, I would have had no idea.
Oh, speaking of different characters in this movie, um, maybe the comedic element, maybe I could see this. Those two potheads or drug addicts or whatever
Yeah.
that were in the movie, they were kind of uh comedic a little bit. They always had snarky comments and different things like that.
Hmm.
Which was actually interesting because I didn't think they really took anything away from the movie, but they just like kept popping up at different intervals. So
and all the crazy food that the fancy guy always had. You know what I'm talking about?
The crazy food.
Yeah, like the his boss,
Mm-hmm.
the one guy that always spoke like he was doing some Shakespearean play. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
the guy who was doing the speech at the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah, Maxwell.
yeah,
Yeah, the guy who almost looked like his beard was fake. Was his beard
yeah.
fake?
Totally did look like it was fake.
Like if that was his real beard, that's pretty unique because that looked that looked pretty fake.
Yeah. I guess because he walks up the one time and he asked him like if he'd like some of the food, and it was like all this really weird, like crazy health food stuff that people would probably eat now.
Yeah.
And Walter's just like, oh no, no, thank you, but it sounds good. Like that was a little comedic. So I mean, it's very subtle comedy, like
Hmm.
nothing that's gonna make you laugh out loud, but it's just kind of like, oh, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
um, one of the kills that made me laugh because in 1959 it was incredibly tame, where he cuts the guy's head off on the
Yeah.
table saw. If that was 1989, you would have saw the entire thing. And it
Yeah.
makes me think of the movie Intruder, which I know I sent you the bandsaw kill on Intruder,
Hmm.
where it's similar, where he cuts a dude's face in half with a with a bandsaw. You would
Yeah.
have seen the entire thing if it was 1989.
Yeah, no, 1959, that was kind of surprising. I don't know what other kind of kills that they've done back then, but that was kind of intense.
Yeah, because this predates Psycho,
Hmm.
um, which was a big deal right around that time. But anything else to add?
Um,
Oh, I had one kind of dumb observation. I never realized how much Dick Miller's voice sounds like Larry Fine from the Three Stooges.
yeah, yeah, I saw you mention that. Gosh, I haven't seen the Three Stooges in forever. I'd have to see that to know for sure.
Oh man. I don't know if it's like maybe they're kind of from the same area or something,
Hmm. Yeah.
but could be like a dialect or something like that.
Yeah. No, I think I'm all set. So I don't know. Do you have any facts or trivia?
Yeah, I got a little bit. So the sets for this film were actually reused for Corman's next production, Little Shop of Horrors,
Hmm.
and they were previously used for The Diary of a High School Bride.
Hmm.
So Corman was really known for reusing lots of stuff. He would take lots of things and like spray paint them to make them look different. But so reportedly, Dick Miller was unhappy with the impact of the low budget on the film. He felt that the film had terrific potential to be a classic, and he liked the script and performances, but felt like the lack of funding weakened some of the film's best moments. In particular, he cited the conclusion of the film, which we didn't even talk about, saying that it
Oh
suffered
man.
due to little time and money for the makeup effects. Yeah, so at the end, he runs back to his apartment and hangs himself,
Hmm.
which that was a little disturbing too for 1959.
Yeah. And it wasn't the best hanging job. I
Yeah.
mean, not to make that weird, but
They should have just actually did it, is what you're saying.
come
God,
on,
you're such a jerk.
get into the moment.
So Anthony Carbone spends the entire film limping and walking with a cane. Um, Being a Roger Corman film, one might logically assume that Carbone injured himself and just soldiered on, but the fact is that he was perfectly healthy and adopted the limp because he felt like it would make his character more interesting.
Hmm. Interesting.
Also, in typical Corman fashion, this movie was shot in 5 days.
Oh, geez.
Dude, Corman was nuts. He was doing this. I, he's been doing this forever. He did like tons of movies in the 80s with like crazy special effects too, like for like no money and
Wow.
shooting him super fast. Um, yeah, I've seen a fair amount of his stuff. He was also born in Michigan, if you didn't know,
Okay.
and he is 96 years old, and I believe he's still making movies.
Dang.
Yeah. So, though Dick Miller is a recognizable veteran actor who's appeared in well over 100 movies, this film is one of only three in which he has a starring role, the others being Rock All Night from 1957 and War of the Satellites in 1958. So
Hmm,
this was his last starring role.
interesting.
Yeah. So the line about how Walter Paisley knows his anatomy is apparently a nod to the similar themed House of Wax from 1953,
Hey,
which was used which used the same line about Vincent Price's character, and a year later Price became Roger Corman's favorite movie star. And they
rock.
did lots of stuff together. So last thing I got, this movie had a $50,000 budget, and it made 180,000 at the box office.
180. Nice.
So grades, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, what are they?
IMDb 6.9.
6.7. Dude, you've been really good at this lately.
Nice. Well, these the horror ones I feel like I can get a better grasp on because we're in the same genre and I kind of feel like they grade them closely.
Yeah.
This is actually the first one that we've done so far for this month that dipped below 7. So, and interestingly enough, that 7 rating went to House of Wax, which I thought was a better movie. But
Yeah.
critic, let's give this a 60. Let's do 67.
It is 71.
Oh, well, a little bit higher than I thought. Audience 77.
68.
Oh, wrong direction.
So our grades, I'll go first.
Right.
So yeah, first time watch for me. I enjoyed it. I always like Dick Miller and everything I see him in. It was nice to see him as like a lead for once.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he did a really good job. I thought he did a good job of being kind of awkward and shy, but then menacing just like a minute later. I keep going back to it, but that scene where he strangles that woman is really unnerving.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, did such a great job. And the fact that this movie was shot in 5 days and was as coherent as it was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so many things I feel like it was ahead of its time. I mean, obviously, there are things that look dated with the little bit of money it was made for, and then the fact that it was made in 1959 kind of lends itself to that. But yeah, all in all, I thought it was a really good movie. I enjoyed it, so I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Rock. Man, I'm in between two grades. But what I will start off by saying is that I agree. Dick Miller did a fantastic job. He did the best with everything. He was the main character, and I think he nailed it because there were little subtleties where you could see him kind of slowly getting more and more killer craze as the thing started off by accident and then eventually got to the point where he was purposely killing people.
Yeah, because things were escalating.
Yeah. And one thing we didn't even mention is that this movie is barely over an hour long. It's like an hour and 6 minutes.
Hmm.
Um, that's probably not including that weird 10-minute intro, but um it it moved at a good pace. I mean, it did a quick introduction of everything, gave you some context, and then like right away he had the incident with the cat. He starts getting recognition, things starts blowing up for him, and then one accident leads to another, to him killing people deliberately. And I feel like it's a good movie for a good duration of time. Some of the
Hmm.
movies that we struggled with, especially the last one we just came off with, which was The Bad Seed, it was a slow burn.
Oh yeah.
This was not the case, and I think it worked in its favor. Man, I I think for the time that it was and some of the things that it did, and also as I mentioned, I was quite pleased with the advancement in the filmography. It made it a lot more engaging and entertaining. I'm gonna bump it up to actually a 4.5. I
Rock.
was contemplating doing a 4 because I'm looking at what I've graded things at, and I gave Dracula, the Spanish Dracula that we graded, a 4,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's kind of like neck and neck right there. Not to put Dracula down or anything, but I just feel like a lot of things came together well for this movie. So
Well, Rock. So I mentioned earlier Psycho. That's gonna be our next movie.
this,
Have you ever seen Psycho?
the original one,
Yeah,
yes,
I
once or
feel like most people
twice.
have.
Yeah,
Um,
I could tell you what year I watched it too. 2005. It was 2005.
Rock. I don't know the first year I was.
I just remember because I was back on break from college, hanging out with some people. So,
Rock.
yeah.
Have you ever seen the remake with Vince
Um,
Vaughn?
I don't think I saw the whole thing. I think I saw bits and pieces of that one.
I haven't seen it. I don't really need to. Um, yeah, I heard that one's like a shot for shot remake.
Yeah, it
Like it doesn't
doesn't
really
surprise me.
stray at all from the OG. So like,
Mhm.
why even watch it?
Yeah, I could understand a shot for shot remake when it's been a long time. Like, uh, not to rabbit trail too much here, but Metropolis.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that somebody should have tried doing 100-year anniversary for that. Like that movie was 100 years, I think, last year.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, dude, why is somebody not capitalizing on this? And if somebody had done a shot for shot remake of that, I'd be like, dude, go for it. Why not? It's been 100 years. Like you're going to be noticeably different. But doing a remake of Psycho, I don't even know how many years apart it was. Seems kind of,
Like 30,
yeah,
30 something.
not enough.
Yeah. But yeah, so next time we'll be talking about Psycho. So until then, as always, be kind and rewind.